What'd he say? What'd he say?
Hey, what's up, everyone? To the debut of What'd He Say podcast, where we're gonna take deep dives into weird stories, hidden truths, and books that kind of feel a little too real. I'm your host, Hendrix.
And I'm your co-host, Zach. And on today's case, it's got me a little paranoid. Got me looking at my apartment walls, Might maybe even get to you. We're talking about Strange Houses by Uketsu. A quiet, unsettling Japanese mystery that starts with a simple house viewing and turns into something that feels like a cold case.
And that's what makes this hit so hard. The story is told by Uketsu, who's actually a character in the book, and his friend, Yanaoka, who finds this old Tokyo house he wants to buy with his wife. Everything looks fine and all, but until they notice that weird blank spot in the floor plan.
Yeah, right? A whole section of the house that doesn't connect to anything? Like a dead space between the rooms? It's just like, there's no doors, no window, no reason for anything.
And that's where Uketsu brings in another friend, Kurihara, an architect to help figure out what's wrong with the house. That's kind of where the investigation kicks off. The tone isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet, like two guys going through evidence.
Exactly. It reads like a true crime podcast in book form. They're measuring walls, checking blueprints, and every time they look closer, they find something new that doesn't just doesn't make sense. Like how a room has no windows or a hallway that's 1 meter too long.
And you start realizing that's not just one house like this. There are others. Same kind of layout, same dead space areas.
Yeah, that's when another character, Yuzuki, comes in. A woman whose husband went missing after they moved into a similar house. So now what started as just a weird real estate mystery becomes something deeper, maybe even criminal.
I like how Uketsu writes himself into it also. He's both a narrator and an investigator. And his tone is also matter of fact. It makes everything creepier. Like this line in one of my favorites, quote, "There was no sound, no sign of life, only the blueprint spoke, and it said something was missing," end quote.
That line right there feels like the moment the story turns. It's not about ghosts or monsters, it's about design, the idea that architecture can hide secrets.
And it's also wild how the characters reflect that too. Yanaoka's the practical guy who wants to believe everything has a logical answer. But Kurihara is analytical, and Uketsu is also the observer, always asking, why would anyone build a house like this?
Yeah, and as they go deeper, their roles start to shift. Uketsu starts to sound more paranoid, and Kurihara starts to sound like someone trying not to believe what he's saying. That slow unraveling gives it the true crime rhythm, Like when an investigator gets too close to the story.
And it's not just creepy, it's also how do you say this word?
Philosophical?
Philosophical. Like, what does it mean to hide space? To build something just to cover something up? There's gotta be another quote from the middle of the book. But guess what? I found one. Uketsu says, quote, "A house remembers where its owners choose to forget," end quote.
Yeah, that one hit me. Makes you think of how real-life houses can hold history, violence, secrets, and even trauma, even after the new people moved in already.
And that's the beauty of Strange Houses. It's structured like evidence, blueprints, diagrams, and also interviews. Every chapter feels like a file being opened.
Yeah, it also just doesn't rely on shock. Like every time they pull out another floor plan, you start to feel like you're uncovering one more pattern.
Exactly, dude. The case isn't solved in a clean way, but it's also more about what it reveals. The connection between design, memory, and guilt.
Yeah, it's honestly one of the most original and interesting mystery formats I've ever seen. Usually not too interested into reading books, but this one makes me want to know what comes up next and what's held in the future for this series.
So, for our listeners, if you're into quiet horror, strange investigations, or stories where the horror hides in plain sight, Strange Houses might be the one for you.
And if you ever look at that floor plan and something doesn't add up, maybe don't go looking for that missing space.
Yeah, just call Kurihara, or better yet, burn the blueprint.
Yeah, but overall, out of 5 stars, I give it a 4.5. It's got some really good storytelling elements, and it's very mysterious, Just disappointed about its ending.
Honestly, also, I give it a 4 out of 5. The book really hooked me up, but it also entertained me. But the ending was pretty plain. If I were the author, low-key, I would investigate these houses more.
Yeah, and I just think that wraps up our thoughts on this great story. Alright, y'all, that's been the case of the Strange Houses on What'd He Say podcast.
Thank you all for listening to our debut episode of What'd He Say podcast.
Stay curious and keep wondering.
And stay listening to What'd He Say podcast.
What'd he say? What'd he say?